The Miami Dolphins traded for a rapper, and not a good one. Acquiring Darren Waller in 2025 as the solution to your tight end problems is interesting, to say the least. And they also acquired Minkah Fitzpatrick, which sounds great until you realize they gave up their number one corner in Jalen Ramsey and their number one tight end in Jonnu Smith to get him, while you also could have just signed Jevon Holland over the offseason and not had to lose any talent. And here's a hot take that Sammy, our resident Dolphins fan, either will completely agree with or completely hate. The Dolphins are going to finish last in the AFC East this year, and I'm not sure it'll be particularly close. I think they will be last place in the AFC East, but all of what I just said was just a stall tactic to try and piss off Sammy some more. So Sammy, your Miami Dolphins, go.
It's great weather we have in Miami, man. I think Miami is the best weather in all of America, and you know, it's a shame that our teams can't necessarily get it together, except for the Florida Panthers. Shout out to them. 2-time back-to-back Stanley Cup winners. First of all, Minkah Fitzpatrick coming to the Dolphins is a plus. He is still good. He didn't have a good year last year. Of course, we all know that, but he was still an all-pro not too long ago. So he solves our safety problem. I do think he can be a better safety than Jevon Holland. So he's under contract for the next 2 years. So you know what? Having missing out on Jevon Holland sucks, but having Minkah Fitzpatrick, in my opinion, will be better. I'm okay with that. Losing Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey hurts. It hurts because Jalen Ramsey was, I get it. He didn't want to be here anymore, so he needed to go. I know he needed to get traded, but now we don't have a corner. And now I'm hearing people say, Asante Samuel solves the problem. No, he doesn't. We have the worst cornerback room coming into this league. We have the worst cornerback room in the entire NFL, and we are in the AFC with the top 4 QBs in the entire league resonate. And we are playing all 4 of them, except for, not Patrick Mahomes, but my point. Okay, you traded Jonnu Smith. He got a $12 million extension. That's a lot of money that I don't think we wanted to spend on a tight end. That's completely fine. Let's trade for a tight end. Oh man, there's so many options. God. There's Cole Kmet. There's, who else? Kyle Pitts. Oh, they haven't used Kyle Pitts like that. Michael Mayer, right? He's great. Surely, we get a great tight end, a solid tight end to pair. No, we're going to go and we're going to get Darren Waller, who has not played a snap since 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, there are people defending this move. There are people saying Chris Grier has aura and is a genius and is a magician because he traded for Darren Waller, who hasn't had a healthy season in 5 years, who was retired literally just last year. And his last year in the NFL, he played 12 games. He had 539 receiving yards. Not bad on a pretty bad Giants team. Not bad. If we could get that version of Darren Waller, I will eat my words. But here's the problem. What the hell are you going to explain to your fans? How are you going to explain to your fans, hey, we traded away Jonnu Smith. We traded him away because he was too expensive. We brought in Darren Waller, who was retired. We paid him $5 million, but we're serious about winning a playoff game. Up until this point, I didn't mind the Dolphins and their draft picks of Kenneth Grant and Jonah. And I can't say his last name quite yet. I will learn to say it. I'm still happy with those picks. Guys, Matt, Joe, this was a deep tight end class, right? This was a very deep tight end class. We had 3 fifth-round picks. You're going to sit here and tell me that you couldn't spend one of those damn fifth-round picks on a tight end? And there were people saying to me, while they were trying to calm me down as I was crashing out in this very room, a day 3 pick, they never produce in the NFL level. They never. Oh, okay. All right. Look, I'm not saying that whoever we draft is going to be George freaking Kittle. Okay, I'm not saying that's going to happen. But what I am saying is that you don't trade for a player that is retired. You don't do that. You do not do that. Okay, and for a team that has been owned by the Buffalo Bills since Josh Allen has entered the league, for a team that has been owned by the Patriots since the early 2000s when Tom Brady and his beautiful, gorgeous face decided to come into the AFC East and destroy us, right? The good thing is that we have the Jets in this division, who are still going to be better than, in my opinion. But what is that exactly going to be for? Because we are not going to win a playoff game with this current roster. You're telling me the culture is changing in this team. How exactly is Darren Waller, who was retired and rapping, how does that change the culture of your team? How does that help your culture? I understand the moves you had to make. I understand Jonnu Smith is too expensive. I understand that. Jalen Ramsey, too expensive. I understand that. Darren Waller? You want him to come out of retirement having not been healthy since 2020 and to come and produce? And people are saying, if he doesn't lose, low risk, high reward. I'm trying to win a playoff game and you're talking about low risk, high reward, bro. In a position that was so successful last year. Respectfully, Chris Grier. Nobody thinks we're going to win a playoff game. I'm praying to the gods that we don't, because I don't want you to be in office anymore. I am done. And people trying to tell me, he's kept us afloat. He's kept us competing. Sorry for going on so long, but how in the world are you going to let Chris Grier I think he was hired in 2016. We are in 2025. How many playoff appearances have we had? Three. How many playoff wins? None. And if you look at each and every one of those games, none of them were close except for the game that we had Skylar freaking Thompson starting. So give me a break when it comes to, he's helping us stay competitive. I want to win. And it's been 9 years. This is not the Supreme Court. He needs to be disbarred right now. I am done. People can act like I'm crazy, act like, this is not the end of the world. No. Darren Waller, you're saying low risk, high reward, which basically means, he's probably not going to produce. And then now we don't have a cornerback room. We don't know about our offensive line. Let's be honest. Going into the season, the offensive line is a big question mark. Still, we don't know if Tyreek Hill is going to produce. We don't know about Jalen Waddle. Tua, is he going to stay healthy? We don't know about any of these things. And you're sitting here telling me that this is a big year for us, that we're going to win a playoff game? When so many teams got better. People have called me pessimistic for these takes that I'm saying. I am about as realistic as it gets when it comes to the Miami Dolphins. I praise Grier when he deserves praise. I criticize him when he deserves criticism. And regarding Darren Waller and Minkah Fitzpatrick, I'm about it. But for the most part, am I supposed to be ecstatic? Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to be lapped by the Patriots again.
Real quick, I just want to point out how he said he was going to think about this rationally and then went on about a 10-minute rant about
that was 10 minutes?
Yeah.
10 and a half minutes.
That was nice.
It didn't feel like 10 minutes, bro.
That was not bad.
That was a much needed event. You said Jonnu Smith was too expensive. Jonnu Smith was the fourth best, most productive tight end in the NFL last year. He actually, if I'm looking at this correctly, he was tied second for the most receiving touchdowns at the position. He was fourth in receptions, fourth in yards. So you basically say he's too expensive. He produced like a top 5 tight end last year. He outdid Travis Kelce in every statistical category except for receptions, which Kelsey had him by 9, and you say he's too expensive and we're going to replace him with Darren Waller, to your point, who hasn't played since 2019. And then you go ahead, and does anyone remember why Minkah Fitzpatrick was no longer a Dolphin after a year and like 2 games? Because he didn't want to be there. And funny story, you take one guy who didn't want to be there, and you say, hey, how about we bring back another guy? Because it's been 6 years since he didn't want to be here. Maybe he wants to be here now. Okay? And so my problem is with this is that the Miami Dolphins, who have had a good team, Tua led the league in completion percentage in the games he played last year. Number 1, completion percentage. Okay? Of course, his health is always a concern, but at the end of the day, that's what you had. You remove the second leading receiver on your team. You remove the top receiving touchdown threat from last year on your team, and you replace him with a guy who decided he wanted to post raps on SoundCloud instead of catch passes in the NFL because he thought that would be more lucrative. Not sure that works out. This is by far the most this is the most confusing thing I've seen from an NFL organization since the Browns decided to draft 2 quarterbacks in the weakest quarterback draft we've seen in like the last 5 years. If this doesn't result in a total teardown of a organization at the end of the season, that's how bad I think this is going to be. The Dolphins are no longer competing for a wild card spot. They're competing for a top 10 draft pick. Probably, if this doesn't go their way, which it usually doesn't when you get rid of your second leading receiver and your top receiving touchdown threat from the previous year, get rid of your number 1 corner for a safety who hasn't produced in any capacity in the last 2 years, and decide that that's suddenly going to do anything in a division that arguably got better all around from the previous year. And the only thing you did was get worse. So yes, the Dolphins are in a bad spot here, and this is going to cost people's jobs. And unfortunately for Sammy, it probably means, Mike's out, but I don't think Grier's going anywhere. And because organizations that does shit like this very rarely fire the right person. And so the only cherry on top I see is that this is probably going to result in the coaching staff, which is in my mind very good, taking the blame for a managerial issue at the highest level. And so it is bad times down there in the Hard Rock, and it's only going to get harder.
Sammy just does not look happy.
I don't know what the heck I gotta do. Like, and then on top of that, like, first of all, Minkah Fitzpatrick didn't want to play for Brian Flores. It wasn't that he didn't want to be here. I don't think anybody would hate being in Miami. Well, you know what? Never mind.
Maybe you right now.
Maybe me.
Jalen Ramsey just said he didn't want to fucking be there, right?
Jalen Ramsey, one of the top corners in the league, doesn't want to be here. So it's rough right now, guys. It's like, I can't believe it. We're about to be lapped. And this is, and if, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know, I will be celebrating every single Darren Waller touchdown if there is one. Like, I didn't say anything. I hope you know.
Oh my God, bro.
I'm shameless. However, just looking at the projections of each and every team in the AFC East, one has the best QB in football. One team has a brand new head coach that doesn't know how to lose, and another team is the football Jets. But at the very least, they got rid of whatever the heck was holding them back. So
Woody Johnson's still in the
Woody
team,
Johnson's still there, yeah. But at the very least, they have Justin Fields. And he's going to solve all their problems quicker than the Miami Dolphins can.
Oh man,
it's gonna be. I mean, I really don't have any questions about it.
I'm joking. The Jets are not gonna beat us, please.
I really believe. I think they will.
I know you have a different opinion, Matt. Yeah.
I really believe the Jets are going to be better than the Dolphins, and I'm not going to say I know because you don't know anything. It's the NFL, it's sports, but I have a really good feeling that the Patriots are going to be better than them, and I have I will say I know the Bills are going to be better than them. So it's going to be a rough year for the Miami Dolphins. Thank God you got the Florida Panthers because this year is going to be rough in Miami.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.